Max said, then throw in Gay Waterhouse and her strike rate and octagonal. That was my favourite moment of your carnival. Yesterday was supposed to be D-Day, D for Darren Beedman. Some people tipped him to win 6 races. He finished up with a skinner, so the punt must have been a disaster day, Max.
A disaster? Did you have to bring it up? Did you have to bring it up? What about the last race, Slab Defence losing on protest? The one law that should be introduced to Australian racing, Keith, and you should follow this, is pay on first past the post.
Oh, look, I agree in those circumstances. Down here at Moonee Valley, where the South African Jeff Lloyd won one of the Crown Asia Pacific races, we had a marvellous day, and the favourites rolled in. Max, you're just based in the wrong place.
See, it's your international flavour, Keith. It's those international jockeys that just give it that flavour.
Well, I was very unlucky, actually, midweek too. I was on Western Approaches of the Gosford Cup, but that man dies certainly put paid to any hope I had of collecting any great money, Keith.
Isn't this the perfect ride? Darbas, top weight, and comes from last. This is the perfect exhibition of judgment from Shane Dye.
Yes, he's got this knack of tailing off and coming with a late run. Of course, tempo helps in races, and this was the case with Gosford, but Dye dared, and certainly the tactics were successful, and he won. And so he's got a great affinity with Darbas, and Darbas can continue winning.
Well, Intergaze yesterday, Max, after being placed in the Pago and the Skyline, finally broke through. Glenn Boss aboard, simply described it as a walk in the park.
Yeah, well, it was a walk, and that is and that's the key factor here, tempo. While there's been tempo on other races, this was run at a dawdling tempo, and Shane Dye gave a long start here and just couldn't quite pick up the leaders. He again dropped out to last on Anthem, and there he is trying to poke through on the inside of My Duke, going out now after Intergaze, but the tempo was all wrong for back markers, and Intergaze, with Glenn Boss judging the pace to a nicety, was able to win.
He had a terrific carnival, didn't he? 7 winners. Glenn Boss, certainly one of the crowd favourites there. Keith?
Yes, he did indeed. And I was going to mention to Max and to you, David, that Rod Craig, the trainer, must be sort of regurgitated. He won this race 13 years ago with Lady Eclipse. He's been with a lesser team, Max, but obviously building up again.
Yes, well, that's a good word. That's our word of the day, regurgitate.
It was very good for Keith, wasn't it, when you think? The St Ledger yesterday, of course, Keith, it's always a very good guide to the Melbourne Cup. The performance of Linesman.
Well, Linesman was a fantastic performance, a gear change introduced on Linesman by Gay Waterhouse. The flop, of course, was Boart. Boart started odds on. I was concerned when the caretaker trainer Tom Murray said earlier in the week that the injury Boart got last week was within an inch of causing her retirement. She's bandaged, as you'll see, and she was an odds-on favourite, and she finished in the wake of Linesman and co. With hindsight, we wouldn't have laid odds on, I don't think.
Well,
Max.
Keith, that she underwent every veterinary test possible. The AJC stewards had Dave Edwards, the trainer, in there. They grilled him before the race on a condition. Edwards was satisfied that Boart was fit and well to take her place in the field. Alas, she pulled up sore in front. Those that laid odds on were sore behind.
Harry Lawton syndicated that winner. It should be mentioned that he's syndicated some 764 horses, and yesterday had his 650th win. It's a good performance.
No doubt about that.
Well, what about the Freedmans, Max? Yesterday, of course, their 12th Group 1 victory of the carnival, and a fantastic performance, Doremus. It probably has finally stood up, and it's had its setbacks leading up to this race, but certainly showed its class. And I know that you were very, very impressed with this one.
Yeah, well, again, it was a matter of tempo, David, but this is the sign of a real top-class horse. It was the Queen Elizabeth was run in race record time. The pace up front allowed Doremus to really stay on. There he is charging down the outside, and it's a good training feat for Lee Freedman to get Doremus back after an arduous Cup campaign in the spring. And look at Juggler, very game, very consistent, but I just don't think over the distances like a mile and a quarter he's quite in the calibre of Doremus.
OK, Lee's speaking about bring on octagonal after the run. Lee's, I think it might have been on spur of the moment, because personally, I think when they clash, I'm not underestimating Doremus. He's a great horse, 2 cups and yesterday's weight for age graduation, but I think octagonal will spank his rump, Max, if they...
You are getting carried away today, regurgitating and smacking rumps. No, I think Doremus is a very good racehorse. Octagonal's got to make the transition from 3-year-old to 4-year-old, which has dulled some outstanding 3-year-olds in the past. We know he's better than an outstanding 3-year-old Doremus, Octagonal, but I do think that Doremus will supply worthwhile opposition.
Okay, worth following Doremus towards the Doomben Cup next month?
Well, he's just peaking, and obviously the Freedman magic in setting a horse for a given carnival is starting to pay off again.
Well, you've got him in the little black book, Max, I know.
Yes, Anthem's too. Anthem should have just about won the Champagne Stakes yesterday. He's going to Brisbane. And Linesman, tough, hard stayer, really peaking at the right time, and he'll win again.
Okay,